Commendations pouring for the Senate as lawmakers bow to pressure and adopt an electronic transmission of results. Deliberation on the 2022 appropriation bill begins on the floor of the House of Representatives. It is getting hot in the National Assembly as lawmakers sweat it out during plenary. This is the Hallowed Chambers. I am Tijesu Adiri. There has been heaps of kudos for senators as they agreed to adopt an electronic transfer of election results after an earlier decision to subject it to the approval of the Nigerian Communications Commission. But it was not also a walk in the park during deliberation on the harmonization of the amendment of the Electoral Act. But at the end of the day, the Senate budged and approved an electronic transfer of election results by INEC. Senators and the public, especially electoral reforms advocates, clashed on issues that had to do with the amended Electoral Act bill. But now lawmakers are back to the drawing board as they begin the harmonization of this critical piece of legislation. It was not an entirely lovey-dovey deliberation as tempers soon flared. Some senators were unhappy about the decision of the upper legislative house to adopt the position of the House of Representatives on Section 87, which deals with the conduct of political party primary election.
We all agree that some of us have problems with our governors, but that should not tie the party to only one choice. We must give the party opportunity to practice democracy. Democracy is all about choices. If we tie the hands of the political parties to only direct primaries, it means we are not giving the parties the opportunity to practice democracy.
I really believe that if this our democracy will be strengthened, if this our democracy will grow, and if we are going to be able to take it to anything close to global best practice standards, it is time for us to adopt direct mode of primaries.
Okay. Asking them to come and vote will require a lot of enlightenment rather than having the indirect that would limit the numbers of those who can participate in primary elections. So I hold the view, Mr. President, that it is more cheaper, less cumbersome to have indirect primary elections.
The upper chamber finally resolved that political parties seeking to nominate candidates for elections shall hold direct primaries for aspirants to all elective positions, which will be monitored by INEC. The Senate insists this will strengthen the internal democracy among political parties.
A bill for an act to repeal the Electoral Act and enact the Electoral Act 2021 and for other matters connected there with 2021, third reading taken and the bill is passed.
The Senate also expunged the controversial amended Clause 52, subsection 3 of the Electoral Bill, which subjected transmission of election results by the Independent National Electoral Commission to the approval of the Nigerian Communications Commission. Advocates for electoral reforms are also pleased with the decision of the Senate to adopt an electronic transfer of results, but they now demand a swift harmonization of the bill.
Commendations are still coming the way of the Nigerian Senate for bowing to the electronic transmission of election results by the nation's electoral umpire. This coalition of civil society groups appreciates an electronic transmission of election results devoid of interventions from the Nigerian Communications Commission and the National Assembly. The group believes electronic transmission of results guarantees credibility of the electoral process and wants the bill signed into law before the November 6 Anambra State governorship election.
We are calling on the conference committee not to go to sleep. This is October. We would be grateful and we would give all of you presents and gifts and call you heroes if by the end of October the conference committee has finished harmonizing the electoral amendment bill so that by November or maybe before November it has gotten to the office of Mr. President.
welcoming this e-transmission of electoral results would help us as a nation and ensure that everyone is in line with the vision and the mission of this nation.
Our leaders must understand that impunity will not serve anybody any good. The only way that we can have a win-win situation for everybody, both the winners and the losers, is for us to have credible electoral process, which will ensure that those who lose will know that they are gracious in defeat and the winners will be humbled in victory.
But they call for caution in compelling political parties to adopt a particular mode of primary elections.
One of the reasons why people are saying that they should have a direct primary is because our election has become monetized. And some persons who are participating in smaller elections like House of Representatives and even the senatorial elections also have that concern that governors are manipulating the process when it comes to indirect primaries. But for us, we believe that there is no easy way out of this. The best option will be for the two modes of primaries to be allowed, in our democratic process.
Both houses of the National Assembly have suspended plenary to allow standing committees interface with ministries, departments, and agencies. But there was also a strong warning to MDAs not to sabotage the process of appropriation that is critical to providing a fiscal plan for the country.
Legislative work on the 2022 budget officially begins with lawmakers deliberating on the content of the document as the bill scales second reading. The President of the Senate insists that the National Assembly must conclude appropriation on the 2022 budget and pass it before the end of the year. At plenary, lawmakers were allowed to express their views and concerns on the 2022 budget of economic growth and sustainability and how it will impact the lives of their people. While some lawmakers commend Mr. President for a job well done, others faulted some projections in the budget, especially the federal government's excessive borrowing and recurrent expenditure.
I do not think that the problem is the expenditure that goes to supporting our people. I think the expenditure is that government itself, 40% of what we spend today on overhead can be cut because they go to no moment at all.
We need to devote enough time to ensuring that there is proper and adequate oversight on the 2020 appropriation law implementation more than in the previous years.
Some of this money that we are spending on service-wide votes, if it's on the correct side, to make sure first in recurrent supplementation, it is important that those expenditures must be properly captured. Because we have said that all our borrowings that we are doing is supposed to be used to meet capital shortfall in capital expenditure for rebuilding of our own infrastructure.
The bill scaled through second reading after much debate by lawmakers. The Senate then adjourned its plenary till the 9th of November. The 4-week leave period is to enable ministries, departments, and agencies defend their budget performance and projections before the Appropriations Committee, headed by Senator Barrow Jibrin.
Second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Appropriations to report back within 4 weeks.
In another development, the Senate President has given a 1-week ultimatum to government ministries, departments, and agencies who have failed to appear before its Committee on Local and Foreign Debts to defend their portion of the external borrowing plan already approved by the Senate. The Senate says their deliberate absence, despite several invitations from the committee, is sabotaging the federal government's efforts to secure loans to fund infrastructure development.
The Senate considers this attitude as a sabotage to the effort of the federal government to secure the loans and fund the infrastructural development that this country desperately needs. So we are giving them just 1 week to appear before the Committee on Loan and Foreign Debts, and if they fail to appear, we'll take appropriate and prompt action.
Those queried include Ministries of Power, Health, Women Affairs, Petroleum Resources, Water Resources, Environment, and Naseni.
It was an uncomfortable plenary for members of the House of Representatives when the air conditioning system in the parliament stopped working. Lawmakers were seen using the order papers to fund themselves as they also resolved to write the Federal Capital Development Authority to officially complain about the dilapidating infrastructure in the National Assembly.
Sir, we are suffocating because the place is extremely hot. In my opinion, sir, we could have a way of either adjourning the business of the day or whatever, or giving time so that the air conditioners can be put, in the proper shape. Whatever things are that you can do to save us from this difficult situation in which we live.
I also want to make mention that we also challenged infrastructurally here. The other time we were fairly embarrassed that the roofs were leaking. And we would expect that the landlords and the owners of the structure, which is the FCT, would take appropriate action to make sure that we stay in a very clement environment to do our business.
Clerk, please write a formal letter to the PAMSEC enumerating these issues. This building belongs not to the National Assembly but to the FCT.
Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila wants media practitioners to develop themselves and rise beyond sensationalism as a means to strengthen the nation's democracy. He spoke while declaring open a 3-day capacity building workshop for parliamentary. My colleague Joke Adisa was there.
The media has been pivotal to the development of the country. Journalists were at the forefront of the nation's return to democracy after many years of military rule. Today, the parliament defines democracy, and the consensus is that every effort must be put in place to reinforce the essence of this arm of government. It is in recognition of these that a 3-day capacity building training is organized for journalists reporting the parliament. Speaker Femi Gbajabiamila enjoins men of the pen profession to prioritize national security in their day-to-day reportage.
We should shun every temptation of giving headlines that will demean the story sought to be told.
Other speakers underscored the place of the media, otherwise referred to as the fourth estate of the realm. The welfare of media practitioners and challenges posed by the social media come into focus.
It is my expectation by the end of this 2-day capacity building workshop, the press corps will be empowered with improved skills for responsible, ethical, efficient, and holistic reporting of the activities of the House.
Members of the fourth estate of the realm should go beyond participation in workshop. You should apply yourself to scholarship, carry out research, go for in-service trainings, take time to retrain, and possibly specialize in various subject areas of parliamentary work.
The challenges have brought serious debate regarding the regulation of the social media in Nigeria. You, as professionals in the media industry, must come together to assist in finding a way through these challenges.
Parliaments are the heart of every democracy, and the press and the journalists that report about the legislature play the crucial role to make people understand what parliaments do.
My observation, Mr. Speaker, in this budget is, first of all, in the health. When you look at the budget and calculate well, you will see that it's 2.7% put in the health and 3.7% in education. Seriously, these two places need a good money, because
Mr. President said on this floor when he is presenting budget that this is the last budget to be implemented by this administration. So in education and health, seriously, we need to put more money so that we can upgrade all our health sectors. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, in terms of unemployment, we have to put at least out of that 16 trillion, 1 trillion supposed to go for employment, to put it for employment, employing unemployment youth, 1 trillion. And it's supposed to be every year, 1 trillion will go for employment. I am sure if we do that, we will eradicate unemployment gradually in this country. Sadly, Mr. Speaker, we have to fear God and go for oversight. Members, we have to go straighten oversight, because playing with the oversight is the thing that make MDS to do whatever they want. Most of the MDS are playing for implementation after the president has released 100% money. I'm surprised when I see some project is not implemented. And I heard that president approved 100% release. So seriously, if we put eye on MDS, the grassroots will enjoy the dividend of democracy. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, look at the debt service. The debt service, Mr. Speaker, last year is 2-point-something, this year is 3-point-something trillion. We're supposed to straighten our anti-corruption war. I am sure, Mr. Speaker, if we go in a serious investigation and created strong interrogation team, we will recover money that we will implement 10 years budget in this country. Because we cannot put eye on people in the previous government looted money. They are enjoying money inside the air condition and eating chicken. And we are borrowing money to implement budget, Mr. Speaker. Seriously, there is failure. Let this government, and I am advising this house and the federal government to straighten the anti-corruption, because I can see a government official working inside the government, sleeping inside the 2-3 billion house. And Mr. Speaker, we say we are fighting corruption. I am sure if we put eye well and investigate and do interrogation camp within the 6th geopolitical zone, like in the east, we do a strong interrogation camp in Sambisa. Whoever been arrested will go there. He will tell you where he buried the dollar. Because people bury the dollar like a dead body in this country, Mr. Speaker. That is why dollar is scarce. That is why dollar is scarce. And when we go deep, Mr. Speaker, seriously into this investigation, you will surprise the dollar you will see. We will implement 10 years budget without borrowing any kobo. Because this country, Mr. Speaker, we are blessed. In the previous government, look at $148 per barrel. That is how we sell it. Where is that money? Designing alone go with $65 billion. And he is living inside the air conditioning in London. Mr. Speaker, how can we say we are fighting corruption? So seriously, Mr. Speaker, this borrowing, if Mr. President will put red eye on the anti-corruption agencies, and I am advising Mr. President to put his glass, not white glass, black glass, on this anti-corruption agency, to do a strong investigation where our leakages, money that go like money in the public servant, Mr. Speaker, if you surprise. So seriously, Mr. Speaker, That is why we are suffering, because we came to the government without money. And we find the crude oil price has gone down. While the crude oil has gone down, Mr. Speaker, we find the crude oil has already gone down. And we no money to implement budget. That is why we are borrowing. But why? Where is the money we get before we come to the government? When the petrol crude oil is reasonable price, with a reasonable price in the market. Where are the money? For almost 5 to 6 years, we are selling 2-something million barrel times $148, Mr. Speaker. And my last advice is there is issue of farmers. All these bushes you see in this country, Mr. Speaker, that is occupied by criminals now. We're supposed to clear that bush, introduce mechanized farming. This budget, let agri take money. Let us put money to farmers and take it direct to them from Ministry of Agri, direct to the farmers. Mr. Speaker, I am sure if we do this, we will, by next year, maybe we will forget what is called oil revenue. Through farming, we can get money that we can implement budget, and we will not rely on the oil, because oil has gone. Development has come in the, look at some countries, even yesterday, Mr. Speaker.
But this is Chief is not willing to ask you to.
Okay, good. Your time is off.
No, Mr. Speaker, Chief Whip is enjoying what I am saying. Seriously, because I am telling the truth, Mr. Speaker. That is the reality. That is the reality, Mr. Speaker. I am telling the truth. And seriously, Mr. Speaker, if we clear that places and put money in the farming, we will eradicate unemployment. We will allocate all these hectares to our team unemployment youth, and the majority of our people will go for farming, different varieties of farming in the different our geopolitical zone. At last, we will reduce the rely on oil. Seriously.
Well, it will be a busy week ahead in the National Assembly, and on the Hallowed Chambers, you will always get updates on the activities of lawmakers. That's our program for this week. You can watch the program again on TVC News YouTube channel. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. Also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and all other social media platforms. My name is TJ Swadiri. Thank you for watching. See you next time.